On to our top story. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in India's Techade Chips for Viksit Bharat via video conferencing. Prime Minister Modi laid the foundation stone of 3 semiconductor projects worth about 1.25 lakh crore rupees, with the goal of development of semiconductors and display manufacturing ecosystems in India. And to talk about it, joining me is M. Srinivas Rao, CEO of T-Hub Foundation. It is India's leading incubator in semiconductor programs. Good afternoon and welcome, sir. Now, take us through the manner in which the projects that have been launched today, how does it pave the way for India's foray into how semiconductors are going to define India's decade and its global impact?
Thank you. So thank you for having me here. First of all, this is an extremely important phase for us. India has to be a significant player in the semiconductor space because, as we know, semiconductors are used to power everything from drones, self-driving cars, cell phones, etc. Right? And so far we've been import dependent. So we are already aware that we had the announcement of a plant from Micron in Gujarat, and now 2 more plants in Gujarat and 1 more coming up in Assam. First of all, from a job creation perspective, we are expecting that about close to 300,000 plus jobs will get created. One. Second is it will create the development of fabrication facilities. It will help homegrown packaging technology advancements, etc. And apart from creating direct jobs, there will also be a lot of significant indirect job creation, right? So with all of this, India is now going to be a full stack player, starting with foundries to ATMP, which is assembly, test, measurement and marking and packaging. Also in terms of OSAT, outsourced assembly and testing. So we now have essentially the phase 1 of a full semiconductor ecosystem building, and in terms of apart from job creation, it will also, I think you'll now start to see a ripple effect being created, and more companies will start looking at India much more seriously from a large-scale electronics manufacturing perspective.
Right, Mr. Rao, as India aspires to become a global hub of semiconductors manufacturing, in terms of the context of global supply chain, where is India positioning itself?
So today we have the potential to become a leader in in the assembly, testing, and packaging. Similarly, in terms of being able to attract fabs which have been producing legacy semiconductors, typically 28 nanometers and above. And as you know, we have already had a long capability, historically strong capability in semiconductor design. We have close to 125,000 plus workers who have been part of the IC design workforce. So I think this is where we are today. The only way forward is upwards. I think we will see more and more, because now the early movers have come in, have made significant investments. The PLI program, where the government is offering substantial fiscal incentives for companies to set up. So from all of those standpoints, I think the way ahead is, the future is very bright.
You mentioned that it augurs well for job creation in the country, the semiconductor boom, but in economic terms, we are importing billions of dollars worth semiconductors for the vast domestic market as well. In that context, how are things set to change in the coming future?
Sure. So if you look at our market today, it's about, in terms of dollar terms, it's about $34 billion, and it's projected to reach in the next 8 years. It's expected to get to about $100 billion. So almost a 20% year-on-year growth. So I think from that standpoint, the the 4 which we talked about, which is Micron plus plus the CG plus the 2 entities from Tata's, I think are going to make a significant impact. And I think over a period of time, in terms of reducing our import bill, of course, all of these plants will take about between 3 to 4 years to start commercial production. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think they will definitely make a significant difference.
And given that there are already established players globally, including China, in the supply chain of semiconductors, what are the real challenges and opportunities for India?
No, so I think obviously, I think what the last 4 years have taught us, thanks to first the pandemic and then geopolitical issues, two wars or three wars you might call it going on right now, is I think companies world over recognize that you need to diversify, you need to have multiple sources of supply, and you need to be working in a more stable environment, right? So I think the time is opportune. I think whatever work has been done in terms of getting a lot of focus on large scale electronics manufacturing, it is starting to play. It is what we call the green shoots are in place, and I think like we have shown in other sectors today, for example, in the automotive sector, etc., we can become a globally competitive player in the semiconductor space.
And Mr. Rao, in doing so, how do you also see India's choice of partners in its semiconductor adventure? Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, each of them bringing their unique strengths into the domain.
Yeah, so I think obviously for geopolitical reasons, it makes a lot of sense for all these entities to partner with an open society like ours, okay, where there is clarity of rules, the rule of law applies, and I think and the fact we have talent in abundance, we have progressive, forward-looking government policies, infrastructure is being scaled up, and the domestic demand is going up. As I said, domestic demand will go up from 34 billion to almost 100 billion, right? So there is all the factors which are required for companies to look at India seriously: growing domestic demand, talent availability, improving infrastructure, right, and forward-looking government policies. So we are almost creating a very good environment for companies to actively look at coming into India.
Right. And Mr. Rao, I want to go back to a point that you mentioned earlier about the importance of semiconductors being used in possibly every electronic product around us. But for those of us who don't understand the use of semiconductors, if you could simplify its importance and also the future of AI that we talk about so often, what role does semiconductors have to play in that?
Semiconductor has a role in everything which you do. For example, even for someone who is not even remotely associated with technology, the phone which you use has lots of semiconductors in it. The LED bulb which you use at home has a lot of semiconductors in it. The EV which you are going to be driving, or even the car which you are going to be driving, or the two-wheeler which you are going to be driving, has significant semiconductor components into it, right? Or the calculator which you are using also has significant, semiconductor components into it, right? And I can go on.
Right.
It has so many use cases. So this is an industry of strategic importance for us. It is important from the point of view of safety. It is important from the point of view of electrification. It's important from the point of view of telecom, etc., right? Apart from whatever else I told you about. So from that standpoint, for us to become self-reliant and move towards self-reliance is absolutely critical.
On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Srinivas Rao, for joining us on the News Hour, sharing your perspective.